even send us to that stream. So,
Hi
your
guys,
ass.
it's Kathy and Fozzie. I hope you guys are doing okay. So we gotta get OJ on because it's almost time for courts to open. And let me tell you, we have we have a trial I need to get this week from a judge in Harris County, Texas. But it's not who you think, and then it's not who you think. So it's not Judge Fleischer and it's not Judge Jackson. It's a different judge, and we're gonna get a full trial from her, and it's gonna be great. Up, Chinny says Fozzie, Fozzie, Fozzie. Say hi.
Hi, Chinny.
So I was going to. I will type it out once OJ starts, but it's nothing. That's why I said never mind. Hold on,
Okay,
hold
bye.
on, hold on. Wait. I got an idea. I gotta share my screen. I am echoing. Wrong one. All right, guys. I think this is where we were at. So I'm gonna press play.
Do they appear to be over a tire track area? You recall that?
I don't recall it.
Just a second, Your Honor. I'd like to mark as defendants next in order 2 photographs and
1032
and
and
maybe I'll mark them
1033.
1032 and 1033, Your Honor.
Have you shown those to Ms. Clark?
1032, 1033. Show them to counsel.
I missed you too, Anthony.
I'd like to place before you, if I can, Exhibits D 1032 and 1033. Ask you, first of all, let's look at 1032. Can you see what's depicted there in 1032?
It's 1032 here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it appears to be a dime and a penny.
And do you recall that appears to be a fair and accurate portrayal of the way the dime and the penny appeared when you saw it, when Philip showed it to you at the Bundy location?
I don't recall.
All right. Look at 1033 and tell us what you see there, 1033.
Also a dime and a penny with a, looks like a photographer's rule alongside.
All right. Do you recognize that dime and that penny depicted there?
I recognize a dime and a penny. And from
That
I'd
is
assume
exactly
that
what
would
I
be
just
the
said.
coins located at the rear.
Oh
Well,
my
so
God,
that
the
we're
dime
clear,
and the
did
penny.
you see
Jeez.
2 dimes and 2 pennies, or 1 dime and 1 penny?
Who the hell cares?
My recollection is 1 dime and a penny.
Now, I want you to look, first of all, look at 1033. There appear to be tire track marks on that photograph. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, and the penny seems to be right over the end of the tire track marks. You see that?
Yes.
Is that the way that appeared when you saw that on June 13th, 1994?
In this photo here,
Yes, sir.
I would
It has a
say,
ruler.
I would say this
My
is the way it
money
would
doesn't
appear, yes.
fold. It
Okay.
jingle
Now I want
jingles.
you
Kidding, which one?
That's 1033, I believe, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Referring to. Now I want you to look at 1032. We put them on the Elmo, Your Honor. And I want the dime and the penny in that photograph appears to be in a different location. But you see tire track marks under that also? You see them?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall ever seeing a dime and a penny in that particular location?
No.
All right. In reviewing your reports, do you recall the total amount of change booked at the time this evidence was recovered?
I believe it was 11 cents.
All right. So under that scenario, this would be the same dime and penny, right?
I would assume that, yes.
Okay. May I put this on Elmo here? I'd like to, first of all, put 1032 on the all wall. And Detective Lang, you see right where the penny is, you see those marks right under that? Those appear to you to be track marks, tire track marks?
Appears they could be, yes.
Okay, and the 118A, that little card there, what does that, is that an LAPD evidence card?
That would be the criminalist identification card taken for the benefit of the photograph.
All right. And by the way, did you have a tire track expert come out and look at any of the tire tracks that may or may not have been at the rear of that location?
No.
Never did that?
No.
Never been done to this day?
No.
All right, let's take a look at 1033. Now this is 1033 with the penny kind of right on the edge of, again, what appears to be some tire track marks. Do you see those?
Yes.
Do you see that little ruler there?
Correct.
Have you seen a ruler like that before?
Yes.
And what is that?
That's a photographer's rule.
All right, and that's the kind of photographer's ruler that's used by the Los Angeles Police Department?
It appears to be.
All right, and I'd like to put those two photographs in juxtaposition to each other, right side by side. All right. We do that? Put 1032 and 1033.
John. Hey, John.
Now, can you look and see the tire track marks on both those photographs?
Yes.
They appear to be consistent in 1032 and 1033? So there's one tire track mark there?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm asking if he knows.
Problem with the photographs as well as with the expertise, Your Honor.
I'm asking if he knows.
Foundation.
Sustained
The,
without further foundation.
all right. You've been a homicide detective, as we've established, for 20-some years, is that correct?
Approximately 20 years.
And in the course of your experience as a homicide detective, you've dealt in other cases with tire tracks,
I have.
scenes of crimes, have you not?
I have.
And you're familiar with the patterns made by different kinds of vehicles as they leave tire tracks, are you not?
No.
You're not familiar at all with that?
I'm familiar that tires leave patterns, not with the vehicles.
All right, well, let's talk about tires leaving patterns. You're familiar with that, right?
Yes.
And you have in the past called upon other people in the police department to take photographs of tire tracks. You use those in evidence in other cases?
That has happened, yes.
All right, over the course of your 20-year experience?
Yes.
And given all of your experience in looking at these tire track marks depicted on 1032 and 1033, first of all, you... First, 1033. In 1033, you do see tire track marks in that, don't you?
Yes.
And in 1032, do you see tire track marks?
Yes, I do.
And you've already told us that they booked 11 cents in connection with this case. Does it appear to you in these two photographs, placed in juxtaposition, that the coins have been moved?
If this were a true representation of that mark, it is lined up. The lower one certainly does appear to be closer.
Okay,
Can
now
be
it
closer
is
together,
important.
do they not?
Yes.
They moved evidence.
Now, one of the things that you strive to do as an investigator at the scene
You're
is
not
to make
supposed to
sure
do
that
that.
evidence is not moved. Isn't that correct?
Certainly.
And if evidence is moved inadvertently, intentionally, or accidentally as part of your training, you log that or you make a note of that. Isn't that correct?
I would probably do that, either that or have it documented such as it is here.
Right. You would document it in some way. Is that correct?
If I knew of it, I'd attempt to do that, yes.
Have you seen these photographs before today?
I have seen the photographs, yes.
Have you ever seen them together in juxtaposition like this before?
No.
You've never?
No.
At the scene, at the Bundy crime scene, when you were present when these bodies were moved, the bodies of Mr. Simpson and Mr. Goldman, do you recall seeing the evidence moved at the time the bodies were moved?
At that time, no, it was subsequent to that.
All right, at that time, you didn't see it?
I didn't see them being moved, no.
I mean, evidence being moved we're talking about.
I didn't physically see evidence being moved, no.
Okay. If you'd seen the evidence being moved, you would have made a note of it, would you not have?
Either a note or documented it in some other fashion, such as a photograph,
All right, you would have tried to make some recordation of that, isn't that correct?
more than likely.
I make recordations.
But you didn't do that in this case, right?
I didn't.
You did
I
not do
did.
that. You did not note that in this case, did you?
I didn't note those coins at the time
Okay.
in the rear.
I want to show you one other photograph, 1034, with regard to the coins and their approximate location to the Jeep, and I'll show it to counsel.
All right. That's next in order.
There's in the foreground here, by the way, there's no question this is a black Jeep, right?
I believe that's the Jeep, yes.
Yeah. So now, and you know generally, because you were shown by Phillips where those coins were, can you point on that photograph 1034 and show us generally where those coins were recovered? Can you do that?
No, if people have an objection, I don't mind.
Yeah, no, speaking of objection, can he answer my question first?
What's the objection?
The objection is that this photograph is misleading.
That's all. Can he answer?
Overruled.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see any coins in here.
You see well, first of all, my question was this. Is that the general area where those photographs, where the coins were recovered, is that depicted in that photograph, sir? The general area?
Objection, that's vague.
Overruled.
The general area as to the north side of the vehicle, are you referring to?
Yes, sir.
I believe so.
All right, it was recovered from the north side of the Jeep vehicle, is that right?
I believe so. I could check the property report and get an exact location.
Do you want to
for
do that? Why don't you do that for me?
If you would like me to.
Can you, if it's okay with the court? Yes.
Yes.
Certainly.
Have you uncovered the property report?
Yes.
And, can you read it, Your Honor? Now, I'd like you to read that to yourself and see whether or not, if you can read that, you can look at this photograph 1034 and see whether or not this is the general area depicted in this photograph 1034 where this dime and this penny was recovered.
Yes, it appears to be that general area.
All right, and what is your report? What does your fresh recollection indicate to you?
It- About what?
What does your fresh recollection indicate to you about where the dime and penny were recovered?
Approximately 6 feet east of the west edge of the driveway and 3 feet north of the north wall.
And, Your Honor, that's 1034 I'm asking put on the Elmo at this point.
And his barking dog.
And that area we've asked you, that's the general area where this dime and penny were recovered, right?
I believe so.
By the way, do you recall that on or about August 27th, 1994, that we saw you at the scene that You were at the scene of the Bundy location, and I was there with some other individuals. Do you recall that?
I believe that might have been the date, yes.
And do you recall that one of our investigators, Mr. Pavlik, pointed out some change that was inside the garage area on that particular day? Do you recall that?
Change?
Yes, pennies, dimes, or something on the ground.
I recall a cigarette butt that he might have pointed out. There may have been a penny, I don't recall.
Do you recall there may have been some change also pointed out?
There may have been a penny or something. I do specifically recall a cigarette butt.
All right, it had not been booked, isn't that correct?
The cigarette butt?
Yes.
No.
And the penny hadn't been booked either, if there was a penny there?
No.
Now, also, by the way, while we were inside the Bundy location on August 27, 1994, do you recall being pointed out to you a dark blue or black knit cap? Remember that?
Seems to me there was a cap up in one of the kids' rooms, yes.
Yes, it was outside one of the kids' rooms on one of the landings. Do you recall that?
It was, I believe it was in a box, yes.
Okay, if I were to show you a copy of the log, perhaps this will refresh your recollection regarding this. I'll show this to council for 1219. You have that.
No, they did DNA testing on it, probably, which is very unreliable, of course. No, they didn't. They didn't. I don't know what they did. I lied right there. Cochran is cocky because he sees giant holes. That one, Donald?
Council, I'd like to approach. I'd like for you to refer to this particular report regarding the August 27th time that we were at Bundy. Read that to yourself, first of all, and see whether or not that refreshes your recollection.
Just the first paragraph?
Yes, first paragraph, I'm sorry. You read it?
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
That I asked you, along with a man by the name of John McNally, who inquired about a black ski cap in a box in the hallway. You recall that?
Yes.
And that was outside of the young lady's room, Sydney's room, isn't that correct?
Yes.
And by the way, was that black ski cap booked after we pointed it out to you?
No. I had no reason to book it.
But you did see it there, did you?
You pointed it out to me. Yes, I did.
All right. Now, with regard to a plastic heart, do you recall seeing a small plastic heart, item 288, somewhere recovered at the Bundy location, somewhere near the rear of the Bundy location?
Yes.
And Your Honor, I'd like to mark this as our next exhibit, if we might. 1035. Where did you see this plastic heart, if you recall, sir?
It was somewhere in the vicinity of the vehicle, also in the driveway.
Was that near where this change was?
I think it may have been on the other side of the vehicle.
All right, it was somewhere back near the vehicle, though, but maybe it was on the south side of the vehicle?
Perhaps.
All right, I'm going to approach you and show you this plastic heart and ask you whether, as pictured here, this is a fair and accurate portrayal of the way this heart appeared, sir.
Yes, it appears to be.
All right. Now, when you saw that, when did you see it?
That would have been on the initial walkthrough.
Now, when Phyllis was showing you what was taking place?
Yes,
Be on June 13th?
that's correct.
And did you have that item booked into evidence?
It was booked, yes.
And by the way, now you saw it on June 13th. Can you look in your reports and tell us what date was that item booked into evidence?
It was sometime after the 13th because I held this item out.
All right, I understand that. My question was, what date was that item booked into evidence?
I don't know.
Can you look at your reports and tell us?
I could go through them, several pages,
Could you do that for us?
certainly.
I'd like to show the item here.
All right.
This is 1035, rear, south side.
Come on over, but bring a snack because you're going to be in here for a long time.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's item 288. 288. I thought I'd said that earlier. I'm sorry.
That item was booked on August 25th.
August 25th, 1994.
Yes,
Now, this is an item that had been recovered and seen by you on June 13th.
yes,
It's not booked till August what?
25th,
By you, is that correct?
yes.
Now, that would be contrary to the policy expressed again in your manual to book this evidence as soon as possible. Isn't that correct?
It would
Answer that
be-
yes or no, please.
Objection, if the witness needs to explain, he should.
Wait, no. Yes or no?
I don't believe I can answer that one way or the other because, again, the manual is a policy, but it's just a guide.
Well, I don't want to argue with you, but I would like to see if you can answer this question yes or no. I'll try to ask it again. An item,
Objection, Your Honor, you just said you couldn't.
I want to rephrase the question. Thank you, Your Honor. This item, number booked is by you, number 288, our number 1035, was shown to you in the walkthrough by Phillips in the early morning hours of June 13th, 1994, correct?
Yes,
You were aware of it, pictures were taken of it. It was not booked until the latter part of August of 1994, is that correct?
that's correct.
Would you agree with me that that does not seem to be immediate booking? Would you agree with that initially?
It's not immediate booking, that's correct.
Does the property division of the Los Angeles Police Department that is downtown here in downtown Los Angeles, does it close or when at particular hours, there are certain hours when the property division is open for booking evidence?
Yes,
And if you recovered evidence in the middle of the night, so your testimony, there's no procedure by which an officer can book evidence that is recovered in the middle of the night when the property hours, irregular property hours?
the evidence control unit is closed. There is a property division downtown that is staffed 24 hours a day.
So if you wanted to book something, you could book it 24 hours a day?
Ostensibly, yes.
You get a DR number, and you could then take it down and book it if you wanted to. Isn't that right?
Yes,
So this item was booked by you on what date? August what?
it was booked by Detective Payne on August 25th.
But Detective Payne works for you, does he not?
He works with me. He's assigned to this investigative effort, yes.
Now, turn our attention back to the Bundy scene. Do you recall at what time it was that the criminalists arrived at Bundy, from where I believe you told us they were at Rockingham?
What time they arrived at the Bundy location from
Yes, sir.
Rockingham?
Yes, sir.
I believe I testified to approximately 10:10 a.m.
All right, and did you review that on the log at all? See whether or not that was accurate? You have it up there?
Yes.
And what does the log indicate?
Log indicates 10:15 a.m.
All right, and that's, so we're clear, that's when this lady whose name was Ratcliffe and followed by her associate, Mr. Jacopo, arrived shortly after her. Well, strike that, strike that. That's when Fung and Mazzola came over from the Rockingham location, right?
That's when they arrived at Bundy. That's correct.
All right, and by the time they got there, the two people from the coroner's office, Ratcliffe and Jacopo, had already been there, isn't that correct? They were already there?
They were still there, yes.
All right. And the bodies had not been moved at this point, is that correct?
I believe that process had started.
Have you ever seen a video of the sequence of events that took place that early morning hours vis-a-vis the arrival of the coroner's representatives and then the arrival of the criminalists from Rockingham?
I recall some video that's been played on the on television several times, different pieces put together.
All right, have you ever seen that?
Yes.
All right. And the parts that you saw,
I thought he said he
did
wasn't
they
watching
refresh your
that.
recollection at all about whether or not the bodies had been moved by the time that Fung and Mazzola arrived at Bundy from Rockingham?
Again, I believe they were in the process of doing that at the time.
All right. And when you say in the process, were they both, with both the bodies still in place at that point, had not been actually moved, sir?
I believe Mr. Goldman was the I'm not sure about the other victim. As far, it was pretty close as far as Fung's arrival time and to the time that the Simpson victim was put on the plastic sheet. It was pretty close around in that time, so I'm not exactly sure.
You're not exactly sure. Well, perhaps we can make that clear for you later. With regard to this Mr. Jacopo, Jacobo, Jacobo, he was attired or dressed in some kind of a blue jumpsuit that said coroner on the back. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And
Hey,
you
that's
noted
my
that
outfit.
as he dealt with these bodies, you saw Mr. Jacopo and also Miss Ratcliffe
Stop
with gloves on their hands. Isn't that correct?
Yes,
And did you have some gloves on your hands at that time?
I believe so.
And you saw them handle both bodies in sequence. In fact, they handled the body of Miss Nicole Brown Simpson first, then they then moved their attention to the body of Mr. Goldman. Isn't that correct, sir?
Yes.
And you noted at the time that Jacopo did not change his gloves after handling Mrs. Simpson's body when he then proceeded to handle Mr. Ron Goldman's body. Isn't that correct?
I noted at the
Yes.
time
Did you notice that as you were standing there and watching them?
that he did not change his gloves.
Yeah. That he used the same gloves with regards to handling both bodies.
What's the objection? Sustained.
I mean, well, did you note that? Did you see whether or not Mr. Jacobo changed gloves after he finished handling Miss Nicole Brown Simpson's body if she was the first body handled?
I don't recall seeing that, no.
Did you participate in handling the bodies?
Once again, perhaps I might have assisted moving them. I don't have a specific recollection. I don't believe I did, but I can't rule that out because there was a lot going on and someone may have needed a little assistance on something. I just don't have a specific recollection.
Were you wearing gloves?
Once again, I believe I was.
Did you change gloves if you handled the first body, the Simpson body? Did you change gloves before you handled the Goldman body? It's not mistaken. If he remembers, Your Honor.
You can answer the question.
I don't recall handling the bodies. I don't recall if I had changed gloves at that location either.
Did you see or ever see that after Mr. Goldman's body was laying in a supine position, that one of the coroner's representatives had taken their gloves and dropped them on the body? Did you ever see that photograph?
I have seen that photograph, yes.
And
We saw
I'd
that
like to
photograph.
bring this photograph up at this point and mark it as exhibit. This will be the defendant's 1036, Your Honor. We'll have to try to credit that one. Yeah. Cut the feet on this one, please. Now, you see those gloves on Mr. Goldman's body there?
Yes.
Do you remember seeing that scene on that particular date?
Again, I don't have a specific recollection of those gloves being like that.
You know that's Mr. Goldman's body, don't you?
Yes.
And you see that lady's feet standing on that sheet of plastic there?
Yes.
See her feet? Those are the feet of Miss Radcliffe from the coroner's office, isn't that correct?
I believe so.
And you recognize those are shoes she was wearing that day?
I can't say I recognize the shoes, but I believe that to be her.
All right. And do you recall whose gloves those are that are Mr. Goldman's body?
I could only make an assumption that they belong to the coroner's investigator.
Objecting to.
I'm sorry, what was the objection?
Speculation.
Sustained and should be stricken.
Now, with regard to those gloves, do you know whose gloves those are?
No.
And you recall seeing that particular picture, what's depicted there?
Yes.
And when you saw that particular picture, think back for me, was Jacobo wearing gloves when he handled these two bodies?
I don't recall if he was or not.
All right. And do you recall at some point Radcliffe was, in fact, wearing gloves when she was handling the two bodies?
I, again, would assume that.
right.
I didn't check them for gloves or make note of that.
At some point, did you see her take her gloves off and drop them on Mr. Goldman's body?
No.
Do you know what the coroner's procedure is with regard to taking gloves that apparently have some blood on them and placing them on the bodies of victims? You know what their policy is regarding that?
What the coroner's policy
Yes.
is regarding that? I don't even know if there is a policy regarding that.
When you saw these gloves placed on Mr. Goldman's body like that, did you say anything to Miss Radcliffe?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained as facts, assuming facts not in evidence.
He said he saw it, Your Honor.
So you've seen the photo.
Well, thank you, Your Honor. Did you ever see, you've seen this photograph that's depicted there, right?
Yes.
All right. And is that a fair and accurate portrayal of the way that scene was that day?
It appears to be Mr. Goldman's body. I don't recall seeing the gloves.
On that particular day?
That's correct.
Who took that photograph?
I would imagine it's one of our photographers.
And didn't Rokar?
It's probably Rokar.
And didn't you direct the photographs be taken there at the scene that day?
In a general sense, certainly, yes.
And you were standing right there when the photographs were taken, weren't you?
Not necessarily. If, by way of explanation, when we have the bodies out like this, most of our photographers have been through this before, and they'll work also with the coroner's investigators, getting various views of various injuries on the bodies. I may or may not have directed this specific photograph. I was doing many other things.
So you don't recall?
I don't recall seeing those gloves.
But you know that's an LAPD photograph taken on June 13th, 1994, of Mr. Goldman's body with Miss Radcliffe standing right next to him, right?
I would say it is, yes.
Now, I may have asked you this. If I do, I apologize. Did you ever take this man Rokar, the photographer, inside the interior of the house, and other than that kitchen area, did you ever take him upstairs and have him take any pictures of anything you saw inside that house?
Asked and answered.
Sustained.
I apologize in advance.
And I'll sustain the objection again.
All right, good. And I won't ask that. With regard to Rokar, he doesn't come out and just start taking pictures. He takes pictures under direction of the investigating officers, right?
As a general rule, yes.
Now, With regard to this Jeep that was at the rear of the vehicle, you testified yesterday that the Jeep had the passenger side door was partially ajar of the Jeep. Is that correct?
It was cracked open. It wasn't really ajar. It was cracked, but still not ajar, but slightly cracked open, I'd say.
All right. Did you have any pictures taken of that door so we can see how it actually looked?
I believe there were pictures taken of it.
Do you have one showing the door ajar or cracked open at all?
I know there's photographs of that side of the vehicle. I don't know if one shows it ajar.
All right, that's what I'm trying to find out. Is there such a photograph?
Well, I would have to look at the photographs,
Well, perhaps when we take our break, you can help us with that.
certainly.
Now, speaking of cars being parked, at the Rockingham location yesterday, you talked about the Bronco being parked in a fashion that was askew, or whatever words you use. How would you describe the way the Bronco was parked when you first saw it?
The rear end of the vehicle appeared to be jetting out in the street more than the front end, and parked at an angle in towards the curb, facing northbound.
And yesterday, we saw a picture during the presentation by the prosecution. I'd like to see that picture again, Your Honor. I don't see John here.
I have to stop now. I mean, court's just opened right now, and I'm super excited for this week because I think we're going to get some good stuff this week. So, I've been streaming for 3 hours. I have to get to work. I have to get my recordings going. Who knows, John? Let's look. John, that's a great question, but we don't really have an answer. So, all right, it looks like he is still there on February 23rd. That's tomorrow, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos away. This looks like just like a motions hearing, nothing important. This might be someone. Yep, someone new. Someone new is on February 24th. It looks like. So. I can't tell if this person and this person are the same people. I gotta go. Oh my gosh, it's Sunday. Are you sure? Never mind, guys. It's not Monday. It's Sunday. We can go on for a while. Who told me it was Sunday first? Debbie, thank you. Kelly, thank you. Nan, thank you. I do need more coffee. We're going to keep going.
You're looking for?
We're looking for one.
Damn, we don't have court till tomorrow. I was so excited.
No, I understand. I understand
You
that
go
we
to
all
bed.
have the same set of photos. I'm just wondering if somebody recalls what number in the evidence it was.
This is in cross-examination, also. Direct examination process. 62E,
Oh, Kelly, I am.
you call that up? Picture, photograph was used? What? Is there a print of 62E?
It's on one of the posters.
Guess what? I'm going to be both.
You got direct examination yesterday, Your Honor. I'm trying to see if we can find it.
It's on a board.
Anthony, me too. You have no idea. I go in at 3 and close.
Madam Reporter, 3 o'clock. What's today?
Today is Sunday, Judge.
I'm sorry.
It's
All right.
Sunday.
All right, counsel, the court reporter reminds me that I promised to quit at 4 today, and so I have to take my break now. I need to take my recess at this point for the court reporters. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 15-minute recess. Please remember my admonitions to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves. Don't form any opinions about the case. Don't conduct any deliberations. Don't allow anybody to communicate with you. Ask you to step back into the jury room. And we will stand in recess for 15 minutes, and Detective Lang, you may step down. Anything we need to discuss before we invite the jurors to rejoin us?
I bet they say yes.
We wanted to show the video at this point.
Oh, yes, I forgot.
Can Detective Lang step out here?
Well, isn't he the one who's going to lay the foundation for this?
Well,
Shock value?
I'll understand. Save some time.
All right.
When it comes to a part where I don't necessarily want to show, I'll try to let Your Honor go and see if we can cut through that.
Well, we got color bars.
I don't want to show this part. Yeah, no. You recognize that gentleman there?
Oh, yes. One on the left?
Yes. One with all that hair. You recognize those two? Is that Phillips and Rogers? On the record here?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, I think you're.
Why don't you use the microphone, Detective Lang? We're actually like we're viewing a videotape this time.
Now, you recognize that lady?
That's Ratcliffe on the left.
Corners lady?
Yes.
Would this be a time when you are telling me what you have here?
Yes,
Is that Phillips in the foreground?
yes.
What time would that be? Shortly after 9 o'clock, if you arrived at 9:10?
I'd say so, yes.
Now, that sheet that's over the body, that's, that sheet that you're handling there, is that the body of Nicole Brown Simpson?
Yes.
And are you showing the back at that point to her?
I don't know if it's the back at that point or possibly, I don't know for sure what I'm doing there. It's hard to see.
So it's Nicole Brown Simpson's body, and you're talking to Ratcliffe, and you're over the body, but it's still in that fetal position, right?
Yes,
This is the arrival of the county coroner's office with Jacobo.
yes,
That would be a few minutes after she came at 9:10,
yes,
about 9:20, 9:25, correct?
something like that.
What time would you rest be there for this is now?
Perhaps 9:15.
Who's he talking to? Who's he logging in with? Is that Cummings? You know?
I don't know.
Is that Ratcliffe up in the back?
Yes,
Is that 873?
yes.
That's for Cole Brown Simpson's body.
Yes.
You're talking to Lieutenant Rogers there?
Yes.
Do you remember what time that was approximately?
I have no idea.
Those are the front technicians in the rear of the vehicle?
Yes.
You know what time that was, do you?
No.
I'm not interested in this part. This part I don't. That officer is the African-American officer who that today.
That recognizes. Sergeant Palmer.
That's Palmer?
Yes.
Sergeant Palmer?
Yes.
Body's still there at this point?
Yes.
Right now, you recognize that gentleman?
Yes, that's me.
What do you have in your hand?
Gloves.
Fresh your recollection? Body's still there at this point?
Yes.
Recognize each person's picture here? You just walking out. Who's that in that jacket? Who's in that light color jacket?
Appeared to be the photographer.
Is that Rocar or somebody else?
I believe it's Rokar.
What's happening now? Is that the plastic you're talking about?
Yes,
This is regarding Ms. Simpson's body?
I believe so.
We'll move this.
I'd like to see the whole,
I think you have a copy of this whole thing. This is not, I'll show the part that I want to show this. You can look at it all the time. First body moved was Ms. Simpson's body.
Yes.
We can go through this part, go through this part. Is that roll car there, in the white hair?
Yes.
We'll skip through this part. Lieutenant Rogers is getting ready for you here. Who's that going through there now? Without barehanded. Is that fun?
Right to left?
Yeah, get back of that. You may have missed it. Yeah. That's you, is that?
Yes.
Now who's that?
Fung.
Barehanded?
Appears to be.
Are you writing notes there?
Yes.
There's some of the notes you have in that book there?
I believe so.
What time of day is it? This is Mr. Goldman's time. We can skip to the, what time of day is that?
It's probably about 10:40, 10:45 perhaps.
Okay.
Maybe later.
That's it, Your Honor. I think these are witnesses who are now making statements. Could you tell on there, or these fresh recollections at all, that the liver temperature of Mr. Goldman was taken there? Do you have a recollection of that now at all?
I don't see that on there, but I believe that's where it was.
All right, is there an objection to this?
Yeah, we still have a problem with the time of the angle. We have a problem with depth perception. This is a telescopic lens. Obviously, there was no media allowed inside the crime scene tape. And the problem is with distortion, as well as the lack of foundation.
Well, that goes to weight, not admissibility. We have foundation, one of the cameramen, this was taken temporarily, so we know what time it was, Your Honor. 9:10, between 9:10 and about 10:30. It's absolutely clear. Pictures are clear. We want to show nothing objectionable, and I want to cut out anything even about moving the bodies, because I don't think that's necessary. Would Mr. lay that foundation to deal with the bodies?
When do you intend on doing this?
This afternoon, if I can.
How do we do it without showing all the extraneous stuff and fast forwarding?
I can ask my experts about that and find out. Can you, may I check, please, counsel?
No, may I make an objection to this, counsel? Under 356, I think that it all ought to be shown, instead of having portions cut out, so that the jury gets a more complete picture. It's still distorted. And under 352, even though, I mean, yes, there's a weight and admissibility issue, there comes a point after which it's completely misleading. And this...
What is misleading about the videotape?
Yeah, first of all, we have, as you noted, Your Honor, already, it's clips pasted together. It's also taken from an angle that completely leaves out the depth, and it's incomplete because you can't see where the people are standing or the surface on which they're standing. All that's going to happen is the jury is going to be misled into believing they're standing on bloody areas or contaminating evidence when they're really not, because the lack of depth in this photograph, because it is distorted, because it is done obviously from a distance with a zoom lens, misleads the jury completely. Under 352, you have a situation where the picture not only does not speak for itself, but speaks to a set of events that are very different from what the reality was. So you have a misperception created by the lack of depth shown, and you have clips pasted together that leave out significant events that is going to give a misimpression to the jury about what was going on there.
Your Honor, with regard to the people...
Excuse me, Mr. Cochran, let me just
Sure.
ask a few questions of counsel. The clips, you're right, the camera seems to move several times. It seems to be from different locations and or zooms. And then obviously it's different in time because there's a difference in where cars are parked. I mean, I can sense that. But what is actually depicted, my recollection of what was just shown to us is Mr. Cochran was concentrating on three specific times. The arrival of the coroner's personnel, he was concentrating on the removal of the body of Nicole Brown Simpson, and then the removal of the body of, or the moving of the body and removal of the Ronald Goldman.
And the people's point is multiple with respect to that, Your Honor.
Let's just flesh out the clips, the 356 issue. You're saying that you object that it's just clips put together and you would want the whole videotape played under 356? That's one objection that you're making?
One objection I'm making is if the court deems this to be admissible, despite people's other objections to it, that at least the entire clip be shown so that everything is placed in context.
Right, that would make it the entire shot, not the entire clip.
Yes.
Right. Is that available, the entire video?
Yes, and show, you mean what you just saw there? Yeah, we can show you whatever we got. You want the interviews and everything?
No, I mean, I'm asking, is the videotape, is there a continuous videotape or does it just start and stop? Does the camera person start and stop the video?
This was the video that we had, Your Honor. This is not put together from something else.
This is one source, Your Honor. This is one source, not in context. One source, one video, which you just see here.
Or is there anything left out or that's been edited?
No.
It's obviously been edited.
Not edited by Your Honor. And that doesn't help us tell, obviously. She doesn't know what she's talking about, Your Honor. We have no objection. She wants to show
Well,
the entire-
counsel, when you videotape something, when you start and stop and you elect not to photograph something and to tape other things, that's editing.
Your Honor, how is that different from a photograph?
No, I'm just, counsel, I'm not hearing from you yet, Mr. Cochran. I'm just asking informational questions. What I want to hear from, I'm trying to figure out what the objections are at this point. All right, I accept the representation that is from one source, and that, let's assume that the camera person shot and then turned off and then shot some more and moved around different angles, that sort of thing. All right. So if I overrule your objection, you're saying we should watch the whole thing?
Yeah, if it's going to be shown, then it should all be shown.
Okay. Now, what's your objection?
Obviously not the interviews of the witnesses.
All right,
The
then,
other objection is that even if we do, the problem with the entire tape is that we have a distortion that is irremediable. The distortion occurs because whoever is shooting it from an obvious distance and doing it with a zoom lens. What that does is it deprives the view of depth. And so what you have is people looking like they're on top of each other, and they're not. It's a small space, but everybody is in a particular place, and it is very misleading to the jury, making it look as though there's a crowding effect that there wasn't. It also is misleading to the jury because it does not depict all of the areas that were free of blood where the people were standing. And so the jury is led to believe, based on what they see with this lack of depth, with this lens, that they are standing in blood that they're not standing in.
but let me ask you this then, Ms. Clark. How is the jury going to be misled when we have the overview photograph of the steps with Nicole Brown Simpson at the bottom of the steps, correct? And you can see that there are areas on the stairway that is not covered in blood. And we know the testimony from the officers, the first officers and Detective Lang, that they did in fact go up and down that stairway, being careful not to step on the bloody areas, correct?
The problem is that those photographs are not evident in this videotape. And this videotape, the way it's shot, because it is shot from a distance, makes it appear that you almost can't tell that there are steps from this videotape.
Mm-hmm.
But that photograph is not present in this videotape, and you can't see where these people are standing. So to put the photograph, it's impossible to put the photograph together with the videotape to allow the jury to understand that where they're standing is no blood.
Mr. Harris, how long is the tape in its entirety, its entire running time?
I believe it's about 14, 15 minutes.
All right, Mr. Cochran,
Oh my
do you
God,
have
it's
enough time to
Kimby.
see? What I'm going to need to do is sit down
Kimby.
and watch this thing in its entirety and
Hi.
carefully evaluate. I've seen this once now.
Oh, sure, I have enough, Your Honor. The point, I'd like to, may I address this? Yeah?
Certainly.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Any photograph, Your Honor, there's a depth perception problem. They've talked about this even in their own photographs. The pictures they have up there of the blood spot and the nearest footprint, there's a depth perception problem. There's a depth perception problem with regard to how the Bronco is parked. It's always a problem. You don't hear us screaming and moaning about that. The question is, you can explain those things. It's not going to be perfect, but there's nothing better than a video. We didn't take this video. And if she wants to show the whole thing, it was through sensitivity that we didn't want to show the whole thing, because I didn't need to show the bodies being drug out of there and that sort of thing. So that's the part I wanted to cut out. I have absolutely no problem with Your Honor doing that. What I do believe is that we've been talking about this for a long time now, so if there's a level of frustration evident, it's because we've been showing this from the very beginning. It is admissible. What counsel is talking about goes to weight. It's her witness on the stand. He's perfectly capable of talking about this. You know the 3 or 4 areas I want to get into, and I think that we need to resolve this at some point. But I can proceed on with the cross-examination. I had hoped to, since he's on the stand, to do this toward the end of my examination today. As I said, I'm willing to cut out certain portions, but whatever Your Honor's pleasure is.
Mr. Cochran, I don't see that you're ready to go forward with this today, because to have to then fast forward
Sorry,
through this
guys,
stuff
I
and look
tried.
through it, it's going to be disjointed, and
Yes.
things will be presented to the jury that perhaps they ought not see. What I would suggest we do is allow the court to carefully review the tape, and over the evening you should prepare an excerpt of each critical scene that you wish to present.
Why don't we, that'll be fine, Your Honor. Why don't you review it? Now, you may disagree with what we come up with. How will we do that? Let's see. I can do that with the areas we've talked about.
All right, we've talked about 3 areas at this point.
Yes, and we can do that and look at those. Are there any others? I'll leave those in, and we can try to do that.
Well, if you recall, tomorrow morning, as I told you, we're going to start
Thank
with the
you,
jury at
Fozzie.
11 tomorrow.
See if you
We
do
have
any
that
better.
other in-chambers conference at 10, so why don't we resolve this matter at, say, 9:30?
That's fine.
All right?
That'll be fine, Your Honor.
Okay.
We'll try to come with a pared-down version.
I'm sorry, Ms. Clark? Sure. Without report. All right, thank you, counsel.
I'll get you a copy for you.
If possible, I would like to see the tape in its entirety so I can take it home tonight and watch it.
Your Honor, this tape that we're watching is already a marked exhibit. It's exhibit number 2. It was played on January 23rd. We have another copy that we can take with us tonight, so you can have this one.
All right? It's my copy to begin with. Court's exhibit.
Do you have it already?
I'll take it home.
Yes, you have it with you.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right,
Would you
let's...
like a copy of the version we're now, with your permission, editing down for 9 also?
Well, I think our agreement is that tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, you'll file with the court and with the prosecution the excerpts that you intend on presenting. And I think that's will just make for a cleaner presentation in any event.
Fine, probably a great suggestion. Thank you.
Okay.
Your Honor, we'd like to request that the identity of the cameraman who shot this film, this footage.
Camera person.
Camera person,
We
who
have it.
shot this footage, be divulged to us for the purpose of calling him to the witness stand,
Or her.
possibly, or her.
You never know these days.
No, I don't, and it doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
That's why, it's just a word, Your Honor.
Well, I just
Right?
think you're trying to lure me into some problem here.
We would like to have the
As a matter
the
of
camera.
matter of discovery, I think they're entitled to know the source of the videotape.
Counsel, please tell us. They've got it now.
Let me ask, Mr. Blazier, do you have the identity of the video photographer?
I do not personally, Your Honor. I'm not sure that we know that. These are clips that we got, and I'm not sure exactly what the source is. We'll tell them anything we know.
Would this magically appear on their doorstep?
Well, Ms. Clark, it hasn't been presented to the jury yet. Mr. Blazier, over the evening hours, would you make your best efforts to find out who this is? Because I think the prosecution is entitled during any redirect or possibly even calling that photographer
I think every single lawyer that I've heard so far is doing a terrible job. I just do. I'm sorry.
as a witness in their case in chief to explain what it is that's there and what the timer means and all the other things. They're entitled to know who took these.
I'll try to track it down.
All right. That's something I'd like to have resolved by tomorrow morning at 9. All right, thank you, counsel. All right, let's resume with the jury, please.
Is there a, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Your Honor.
We're gonna
Is there
try.
a time was given by which we get that information?
No, I indicated to you, I think you're entitled to know who the photographer
Absolutely.
is. And you're entitled to
Absolutely.
potentially interview that person and/or call that person as a witness in your case in chief. I agree. And I told Mr. Blazier to make his best efforts and have that information for me by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Oh, great, that's what I agree.
And I would assume we'll be able to find that out by tomorrow morning.
I didn't hear the deadline, that's what I was,
Yeah,
thank you, Your
okay.
Honor.
Well, sometimes I don't make myself clear. For our jury panel, Detective Tom Lang is still on the witness stand on cross-examination by Mr. Cochran. Detective Lang, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
And you are again reminded you're still under oath. Mr.
Sure.
Cochran, you may continue.
Thank you very kindly, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'd like at this point to have placed on the Elmo a photograph, which I believe is a duplicate of 62E. And I'll also I'll ask the witness some questions about that. 62E. Now, can you see that on the on your monitor, Detective Lane?
Yes.
And with regard to Plaintiff's Exhibit 62E for identification, is that a photograph of the way this Bronco was parked that you said was kind of jutting out from the curb?
Yes.
And let's take a look also, as we're looking at 62E, let's look at Defendant's 1037. So,
All right, you're marking this next in order 1037, Mr. Cochran?
yes, Your Honor, I'd ask this to be marked as Defendant's 1037, next in order. And is that a fair and accurate portrayal of how this vehicle was jutting out from the curb?
The depth perception isn't all there, but yes, that appears to be the way it was.
All right, now, when you were at the Rockingham location, you had an officer there, or officers there, who sought to secure this particular vehicle, isn't that correct?
I believe there were officers there to do that. I didn't speak with them.
All right, and their job, however, was to try and, was one of the officers there Gonzalez and Ashton?
I believe those were
names?
the names, yes.
And their job was to try to make that vehicle secure until such time as it was to be towed away or impounded or whatever, is that correct?
Yes.
And I want to bring up and mark as defendants, we'll call this Defendant's 1038. Counsel's now seen that, Your Honor. There's no photographs. I don't have a photograph of this. This is D-1038. May we now show it, Your Honor?
All right, do we have the ability to print that?
We're going to see. All right, now, Detective Lang, do you see the Bronco there in the foreground?
Yes.
See a tow truck in the rear part of that photograph?
Yes.
See that lady?
Now we'll
standing
all
close to
focus
the
on it,
vehicle?
Donald.
Yes.
When you had left Rockingham earlier that morning, the officers, Gonzalez and Ashton, were in charge of securing the Bronco and keeping people away from it, were they?
I left approximately 6:45 a.m. I'm not clear on whether or not they'd arrived at that time.
Well, at some point, you became aware that Phillips called for them to come over and provide security at some point. Is that correct?
I don't recall if Phillips did that.
Do you know what time of day that vehicle was towed away ultimately on June 13th?
No.
Do you have any records that assist you in that?
I wasn't at the location. I suppose one could check the impound report.
One could do what?
One could check the impound report. I wasn't at the location, so I don't know.
Could one do that for us right now?
One kid.
Okay, yes, I'll ask one to do that.
There's going to be a hearsay objection.
I'm not the one.
I'd like to see personally what it is he's going to use again on.
Please refer to the binder
Counsel, please.
of the lawyer of the last court case we saw.
Charlie. Mr. Harris, were we successful in putting that out? Were we successful? Good. Thank you.
Nan, you better have a better week. I'm telling you right now. This week better be better than last. Nan, I can fly to Nashville in 2 hours and 13 minutes for $58. I could just fly to
A lot
Nashville.
more time on this particular issue since the
It would take me... No, it wouldn't. I can just be in Nashville in a couple hours.
Detective Lang has testified he wasn't there when it's towed. My inclination is to sustain the hearsay objection.
May I move on here, please?
Please, thank you.
One other question on that, too. Detective Lang. When you left to go back over to the Bundy location in the early morning hours, the vehicle was still as depicted in the photographs we've shown the jury. Is that correct?
It was still at the location, yes.
And although you have some impound reports, you're not the person to tell us what time that vehicle was actually towed. Is that correct?
Yes.
And looking at the photograph on the board that's now been printed, you can't tell us who that lady is, right?
I have no idea.
All right, we'll get the appropriate witness on that. Now, with regard to, I'd like to show counsel a document entitled Crime Scene Investigation Checklist and mark that as defendant's next in order,
39.
1039. Show it to counsel. While she's looking at that, when you were at the Rockingham location, after you'd been told by Phillips, the affirmative told him that Mr. Simpson had been involved in a domestic violence situation early in the morning before you went over there. You recall that?
Yes.
How long were you at that location altogether before you left to come back over to Bundy?
I misunderstood. How long was I at Bundy before we left?
No, how long were you at Rockingham before you, from the time you got there to the time you left, how long were you at Rockingham?
Approximately an hour and 40 minutes.
All right, and during this
11
hour and
hours,
40-minute
Donald.
period of time,
11.
You shared with us some of the events that took place with regard to the notification of the Brown family and other things. You recall that?
Yes.
And you shared with us, I think, yesterday that at some point, Furman came to you and escorted you out and around the garage side of the Rockingham residence. You recall that?
Yes.
And were you the first officer so escorted around there?
No.
Do you remember the sequence of officers, if any, who were escorted around by Furman?
I believe Phillips might have been first, and then Van Adder, and then myself.
And do you have that written down someplace?
No.
If Van Adder's indicated he was first, would he be wrong?
Not necessarily. I just don't have an independent recollection. That's just my belief. I could be wrong.
Trying to get your best recollection now.
That's what I'm giving you.
And your best recollection now is that you believe that Phillips was first, that you were second?
It seemed to be that it might have been that way. Maybe it wasn't. I
You don't know,
really
do you?
wasn't paying that much attention. I had other things on my mind at the time.
All right, you had other things on your mind, I understand that. And so as you sit here now, you don't know whether you were second or third, do you?
It seems to me I was perhaps the last one, but I might be mistaken. I don't know.
All right. So how many went back there altogether? You were the last one.
I believe that Phillips, Van Adder, and myself all went back at different times.
So your present recollection is now that you may have been the third officer in the sequence of three taken back by Furman. Is that right?
Again, I believe that's what it was, but perhaps it wasn't. Again, I didn't pay any attention to that.
And you have no report that would refresh your recollection on that, right?
I wouldn't have a report like that.
Now, when you went back to this location, were any photographs taken when you were back there that particular morning?
The photographer hadn't arrived when I was there. I'd left before the photographer arrived.
So is the answer no, there were no photographs taken?
That's correct.
And you described the area as, what time was it that you were taken back there by Furman?
Approximately 6:25, perhaps. I don't know exactly.
And was the sun up by that time?
It was beginning to get light. A little hard to tell if the sun was all the way up.
All right, you described for us that area was it was dark because of the foliage over there, is that correct?
Yes.
And did you have the use of your flashlight when you went back there?
I don't recall if I had my flashlight or not.
How close did you get to the location that Furman was taking you to?
To the glove?
Yes.
Approximately, perhaps 6 feet.
And you never got any closer than that?
No, I took one look and returned to the front of the house.
You never touched the glove that morning?
No.
In one of the photographs, there's a stick that was somewhere around the location. We saw it briefly yesterday. I'm not sure it was marked. You remember seeing a stick somewhere out in and around Rockingham that morning?
Yes.
Where was this stick?
There was a piece of splintered wood, if that's what you're referring to, white in color. It was located on the parkway adjacent to the Bronco.
And was this stick ultimately booked into evidence?
Yes.
By whom, if you know?
I wasn't there when it was collected, I'm assuming Fung.
And I believe yesterday we showed some photographs that had some kind of a blue object on the other side of the fence. Do you remember seeing that blue object at all? On the other side of the fence, to the right of the fence at Rockingham?
I didn't recall seeing any blue object when I was there.
And did you see a photograph yesterday that had such a blue object?
I may have seen a photograph.
Does that refresh your recollection at all?
Perhaps if you showed it to me.
I'll mark this as defendant's next in order, Your Honor. I'll show it to counsel. D 1040.
1040.
And I'll mark the stick as D 1041. Show them both to council. I'll place D1040 on the board, on the elbow. Now, take a look at D1040. Back it up. Now, is that the approximate location that you recall that you saw this glove in the early morning hours of June 13th, 1994?
It appears to be. That's kind of a close-in shot, but
All right, that's closer than you were to that, is that right?
the shot appears to be closer, yes, if
All
it's
right.
6 feet.
Do you look to the right of that? Do you see some kind of you see a card and then some kind of a blue object to the right of the fence?
Yes.
You remember seeing that morning?
No, I don't.
And so that we're clear, can you look at the board for a minute? Look at the big screen. That area in there is the area that appears to be the blue, kind of blue package or whatever.
Yes.
All right, and then here's some kind of evidence card, is that correct? Can you see that?
Yeah, appears to be an evidence card, yes.
All right, so at some point that blue container was booked, is that correct?
I believe so. I wasn't there, but I believe it was.
All right. Now, with regard to this this glove at that location, do you check? Were you able to find out whether there's any blood or any blood spots around that glove that's indicated in this last exhibit, D40, 1040 rather?
I wouldn't have checked that. That would have been done by the criminalist.
All right. Do you know if the criminals did that?
I wasn't there.
All right. Do you know any of the reports, as you're the lead investigator in this case, whether or not there are any blood droplets or anything like that in and around this area where this this glove was allegedly found?
I don't believe there are.
All right. What about on the fence? Did you find any blood spots or anything? Any smears on this fence to the right of where that glove was allegedly found?
I'm not aware of any.
All right. You're the investigator, right? Still?
I am the investigator at Bundy. We had a bifurcation. Detective Van Adder took Rockingham, and I took Bundy as a crime scene.
But, I mean, I presume in this case, both Bundy and Rockingham are part of this case now, isn't that correct?
Certainly.
And you're one of the investigators. You know what took place at both places, don't you?
I am not as familiar with Rockingham as Bundy because I investigated Bundy and my partner investigated Rockingham.
All right. Will Detective Van Adder favor us with his appearance before too long?
I don't know.
All right. But as far as you know, there's no blood on that fence, right?
As far as I know, that's correct.
All right. No blood back in this area, this walkway area, right?
I didn't observe any.
And Van Adder's still your partner in this case, the co-lead investigators, right?
That's correct.
All right. Now, with regard to 1041, Your Honor,
That was that movie.
this is-
He was in
I'll
the
ask you whether or
army,
not
right?
This is the stick
That
you
was that
described
movie.
out
What
on the
movie was
parkway?
that?
Piece of splintered wood that I observed in the parkway, yes.
All right. Well, you want to call it splintered wood? Okay. The splintered wood. Where did you find this splintered wood on the parkway?
That was the parkway north of the Rockingham Gate and adjacent to the Bronco. I guess it would be east of the Bronco.
And that because of that LAPD ruler there or whatever was that was taken, a photograph taken by the LAPD, right?
Yes,
And this splintered wood was booked into evidence, was it not?
I believe so.
Were any tests run on that splintered wood?
I believe so.
Was it negative for blood, or do you know?
I believe it was negative for blood as well as prints.
Negative for blood and prints?
I believe so.
By the way, this morning when I was talking to you about these Reebok tennis shoes, you told us that you had these Reebok tennis shoes tested for blood on them. Remember that?
Yes.
There's no blood on those tennis shoes, was there?
No.
You have a report to that effect?
No.
When it's negative for blood, they don't write a report. Is that what happens?
When it's negative for a phenol, that's correct. Presumptive test.
Right. You still have those shoes, do you? In police custody?
I believe they're in evidence.
Now, we've talked about the arrival of the criminalists at the Bundy scene, and we know that at some point, in addition to the criminalists, some technicians came from SID to do the fingerprinting and the dusting. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in that connection, I'd like to show you People's 84. Ask you some questions regarding that. Do you recognize the young lady in the foreground of People's 84?
Yes.
And she seems to be wearing some gloves on her hands, is that correct?
Yes.
And did she bring those with her, or was this provided by you that morning?
She brought those with her.
And she's wearing, and I don't choose not to use the word booties, she's wearing some covers for her shoes, isn't that correct? Some
Yes.
shoe coverings?
Yes.
All right, and that morning out there, as you saw these technicians doing their work, they were garbed in white, with gloves on, and with their shoes covered, is that correct?
Yes.
You didn't see Mr. Fung, the criminalist, with any coverings on his shoes, did you?
No.
Did you see Mr. Fung
Objection, vague at the time. When-
that morning when he was out there at Bundy?
Overruled.
All right, thank you, Adam. Did you see, you never saw Fung with any coverings on his shoes, right? That morning.
I never observed any, no.
Do you recall whether or not he was wearing gloves at any time that morning?
I don't know whether he's wearing gloves or not.
All right. Do you recall whether or not the two individuals from the coroner's office were ever wearing coverings on their shoes that morning, June 13th, 1994?
I don't recall him wearing coverings.
And of course, you were not wearing any shoe coverings yourself.
No.
You ever remember seeing Detective Phillips with any shoe coverings that morning?
No.
Was he wearing gloves at any time that morning?
Generally, if one was going to handle evidence, they'd be wearing gloves, but I don't believe he did. I don't know for sure, though.
All right. What about Furman? You recall him wearing either shoe coverings or gloves?
I don't believe he had shoe coverings, and I don't know about the gloves.
Now, yesterday, you testified about the condition of Miss Nicole Brown Simpson's feet, and you were showing some photographs. Did you ever photograph the soles of her feet that particular morning before her body was taken away?
I don't believe it was a direct shot of the soles.
Did you ever walk around and look at the soles of her feet?
Yes.
And how did you accomplish that?
I believe that was at the time that the body was moved.
And with regard to her leg, and I'm referring now to defendants, strike that, plaintiffs 80. I'll put on the all one there, plaintiffs 80. That is a photograph of Miss Nicole Brown Simpson's lower part of her body and her right and left leg and foot. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you don't have any direct on shot of the bottom of her feet. Is that correct? Photograph
That's
you shot.
correct.
What is that under? Is that her right leg in the foreground?
The foreground is the right leg, yes.
And what is that under the right leg there?
That is a Thai fast food takeout restaurant mailer menu.
All right. And with regard to the leg, as you move up the right leg, there appear to be some marks on the leg as though, was that ever dusted for prints? That part of her leg can you step down and see what I'm circling now? There appear to be some little marks.
The leg
On the-
dusted for prints?
On the right leg. Was anything dusted in that area? Or
On
any
the body
marks?
itself?
Yes, on the body.
No.
Not at all?
No.
All right. So that when that body was taken to the coroner's office, you saw it on the next day, do you know whether or not the criminalist, Mahaney or anyone else, did anything with regard to what appears to be some spots on the right leg there?
I believe there was blood removed by the criminalist from the leg.
And what criminalist was that?
That would have been Mahaney.
McCaney?
Mahaney.
And do you have a report for that?
I believe so.
Can you find that? Maybe look at it?
Yes.
And this is a good breaking point. It's been over 4 hours. I think it's time for me to stop. Guys, you were so talky today. It was wonderful. Thank you so much. So, I'm going to do OJ tomorrow, don't worry. But remember, no stream on Wednesday and no stream on Saturdays. Have a great day. I'll see you guys again real soon. Bye, guys.